across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 electric hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 7 o'clock. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Thursday, July the 2nd. Here's what's coming up. While Burnham waffles on about postcodes, Downing Street North and more council houses, the Westminster Bubble Gang seem almost willfully to ignore what matters to the British people. The spiralling insanity of the migrant crisis and asylum seeker chaos keeps on getting worse, and all we get from the government is nice quotes and headline-hitting empty publicity drives, while nothing ever is actually achieved. Why hasn't Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood even said anything about the urgent change of law required to deport rape gang leader Shabir Ahmad back to his native Pakistan? Why is this monster who raped 30 children being released today after only 14 years of his 22-year sentence? Why won't this lousy Labour government listen to the fury of millions of outraged Brits and bloody well do something to stop this animal walking the streets of this country a free man? 0344499 1000. In similar vein, after the BBC revealed that a prolific people trafficker who raked in £100,000 a week, charging migrants £4,500 each to cross the Channel, is illegally living in a Leicestershire village, why haven't the police arrested him? He was supposed to be deported from France to Iraqi Kurdistan. Instead, he's in the good old UK, driving a BMW without a licence, working in a shop unlawfully, and, of course, waiting for a decision on his asylum application, which will doubtless be granted. What the hell is going on? Sort this mess out. 0344499 1000. I don't want to hear any more about this. Shabana Mahmood's doing a really good job. She's a sensible Home Secretary, really cracked down on the migrant. It's a shambles. It's a mess. It's absolutely a disaster. Let's stop praising this woman and ask her to do something. Just do something. Stop this. Get this Pakistani monster out of the country. Sort it. Don't tell us it's the law. Change the law. You can do it in one day flat. Keir Starmer's just changed the law in order to allow pubs to stay open until 5 a.m. on Sunday night into Monday because of the England World Cup game. So if you can change the law that quickly, for that reason, important though that is, there's a more important law to be changed. That's the law keeping Shabir Ahmad in this country. We can't deport him because he was made a British citizen before 1973, and in those days Pakistan was a Commonwealth country, and that's the rule. Commonwealth citizens made British citizens before 1973 cannot for some reason be deported. Change that law, change it now and get him out of this country. He poses a serious danger to British children. Come on! This isn't, as I said yesterday, this isn't a request. This is a demand from the British people. What do you think, folks? 0344 499 1000. There's also another Lib Dem council banning England flags during the World Cup. What is wrong with them? Why is it that they hate patriotism so much? They say that these flags, the George Cross and, of course, the Union Jack flag, are divisive and not inclusive. No other nation, as I've asked this question before, You know, is there any other nation in the World Cup, competing in the World Cup, that has banned its citizens from flying their national flag while their team competes? Any other nation? Of course not. Of course not. Only crazy England seems ashamed of its own flag. What is wrong with this? 0344 499 1000. Also, later in the show, I'll talk to Kinsey Schofield, our royal guru, because Prince Harry, still sort of probably not going to bring his kids and Meghan back next week, as was planned, because he says he's not going to get the gun guards that he needs. British taxpayers don't want to pay for that. He doesn't warrant it because he's not a frontline working royal, doesn't do any work at all. He lives in California. But he's still demanding it. And guess what he's done now? He's paid out a shed load of money, commissioned his own report about him being a terrorist target when he comes to host the Invictus Games next year. It says he's such a terrorist target. 6 terrorist organisations will probably try to kill him. Many people could get hurt. So he needs a gun guard. No, I've got a better idea. If that's true, which I don't think it is, don't come, Harry. How about that? We don't really care. Just don't bother coming. Stay in California, stay in Montecito, smoke a few joints or whatever it is you do there. Just don't bother. We've had enough of you and your psychodramas. We'll talk to Kinsey later. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday afternoon together. And without further ado, let's go to my first guest. He is the Director at Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood. Mark, well, let's start on, for rarely, very rare this, let's start on an upbeat story. You won't believe this. Keir Starmer has done something popular. He's actually changed the law so that pubs on Sunday night can stay open for people to watch the game, the England game against Mexico, while having a few drinks. As we know, that doesn't kick off until 1 a.m. I made a facetious joke saying, well, now the pubs will stay open until 5 a.m. England fans will be able to drown their sorrows after the game as well as enjoy them with a few drinks. That's just a facetious joke, folks. Obviously, come on, England, we want them to win. But, you know, credit where it's due. This is a good thing that Keir has done. He's talking about his legacy. This will be his legacy. He was the Prime Minister that opened the pubs when England played Mexico at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Well, 3 cheers for that, Kev. But the wider point, I've been out of England for a few weeks. I've got away to the Sun to sit in sports bars and watch all of the football matches, not just England. But to your wider point at the top of the show, I mean, what madness is engulfing the United Kingdom since I've been away? I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? And I think this proves the point you were saying, that with regard to asylum, prison sentences, deportation, immigration, we've got to change the law. I'm sick and tired of hearing new schemes being rolled out. The law is the problem, not the efficacy of various schemes. And it just shows, doesn't it, for this England-Mexico game, if the will is there, you can change the law pretty dramatically, very rapidly. It's a point of political will. So they've got the political will to make sure that people can drink beer and hopefully celebrate as England beat Mexico in the Azteca Stadium on Sunday night. But they don't appear to have the political will to really tackle the big stuff. And that's what totally frustrates me about this government.
Yeah, so let's just quickly talk about this. Shabir Ahmed, an absolute monster, was sentenced to 22 years in 2012 after being found guilty of raping 30 children in Rochdale. He wasn't just a gang rapist, he was a rape gang leader. He taught other rape gang members how to catch kids, how to drug them, how to apply them with drink, how to torture them, how to sexually abuse them. This man is an animal. Yeah. I want to know why he's being let out after just 14 years of a 22-year sentence. I might say that raping 30 children, I think, is a life imprisonment sentence every day of the damn week. 22 years, getting out after 14 years. Think about that, folks. He's getting out 14 years for raping 30 children. One of them was 12. That's a stupid sentence in itself. However, getting let out after just 14 years, questions need to be asked about that. But that's what it is. He's out. So we know now that all the government lawyers have been saying, well, the problem here is, you know, that he was made a British citizen before 1973, when Pakistan was still a Commonwealth country, and Commonwealth citizens made British citizens before 1973 cannot be deported. Bizarrely, we can strip them of their British citizenship, which we have done. He's not a British citizen anymore, but because of this weird rule, this weird law, the 1973 thing, by the way, that's enshrined in the 1971 Immigration Act, we can't deport him. Well, as you quite rightly, astutely said, Mark, the government has just proved that if they want to change a law, they can do it in a matter of hours. They could do this in a day. I want to know two things. One, why the hell haven't they done this? And two, why haven't we heard a word from Shabana Mahmood, the Prime Minister, the government, about this? The fact that they are just maintaining this wall of silence about this threat, this danger to British children, a crazed paedophile, now a free man walking the streets, the fact that they haven't said a word just proves how out of touch they are with the British people. The British people demand that this guy is kicked back to Pakistan, and if he faces torture and persecution and death there, really good news.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say about this, Kev, is every single element of this case shows the complete failure of the British state and the British justice system. I'm just doing the maths in my head. This guy raped 30 children. He's served 14 years. So that is less than 6 months for each child rape. Less than 6 months. Unbelievable. And then, as you rightly said, 22 years, in my view, isn't enough. This should be life without parole. But having got a 22-year sentence, he's out in 14 years. And then we can't deport him. Well, we just need to change the law here. Look, I can imagine, because I haven't looked into this in depth with any lawyers, that it might require unpicking various treaty arrangements that we've entered into with Pakistan. So it might be a bit more complicated than keeping the pubs open. But how about this as an idea, that we actually say, if you fall into the circumstances in which you've had your British citizenship revoked, if you are unwilling to leave the country, then you will stay in prison indefinitely if you are a convicted prisoner. I mean, you could amend the law that way. So the Labour government just puts all of these things in the too difficult to talk about box.
Yes, that's it.
So they don't get solved. That's basically the problem. They just don't want to even engage with the nature of this problem, which, as I say, is a massive problem from top to toe. Not just the deportation bit, but why wasn't he in prison for life without parole in the first place?
And also, why has this suddenly happened? The government should have been aware that this monster's going to get out and made the necessary arrangements. He must be kicked out. There's no two ways about this. But as you say, I think it's like too difficult to talk about, too difficult to do. It's not that difficult to do if they had the will and the resolve. But to go back to the basic point about this migrant crisis, this asylum seeker chaos, every day, in every way, it gets worse and worse and worse. It is spiralling out of control. You know, today we've got this story. It's been revealed that the astonishing cost of every single asylum claim, so all of these people come in, the moment they claim asylum, that costs us, British taxpayers, £18,700 for every single person in the country claiming asylum. That adds up to billions and billions of pounds. We're going to do a story in a minute about a people trafficker who was getting deported from France to his native Iraqi Kurdistan. Instead, he's pitched up in Leicestershire, where he's living illegally, driving a BMW illegally, apparently making a lot of money from an unlawful job. You know, again, we've got loads of people in the country like this. Arguably, there's 1 million migrants, not asylum seekers, migrants in this country we don't even know about. Every day, in every way, we drown in these stories, all about the migrant crisis, the asylum seeker chaos that this government, and to be fair, previous governments, just have not got the remotest grip on. They've got to raise their game here. Burnham, when he comes in, to be fair to him, Mark, he did tweet, "This monster must be deported." Hopefully when he gets in, he will be deported. I suspect possibly the Starmer government don't want to deport him because Burnham wants to deport him. But they've got to get a grip on this crisis.
Yeah, and it needs to be a firm grip, Kevin. I mean, I read elsewhere today, to give you a sense of the state's priorities and the government's priorities, that what they're putting at the top of their list of things to do is unconscious racist bias training for people who work for the Crown Prosecution Service, right? I mean, as if that should be the top priority at the moment. Look, the only way you can solve this, I think, now is to end the asylum system as we know it. I'm not saying that no one would ever be allowed into the country if they are fleeing persecution, but I would make that a political decision, not a legal decision. That's to say, you would have to petition the King, or in practical terms, petition the Home Secretary. It would be a judgment for the Home Secretary. We're going to let that person in. I think their case is watertight. We're not letting this person in. Their word should be final. It should not be. It should not go to a court for any sort of appeal. There should be no ECHR or human rights to consider. That should be a discretionary government decision for the government of the day. We have made asylum and immigration a judicial process. It is a political process. Now, the government of the day could, rather than actually issuing a list of names or deciding on a case-by-case basis, could, for example, find a particular cohort that it was willing to give asylum status to. A recent obvious example is Ukrainian women who are fleeing the war. So you could actually draw up a category, but I want the decision to be political. I do not want it to be legal and run by judges, basically. We've taken a highly controversial, contestable, debatable part of policy and politics, and we've tried to take the politics out of it. I think we need to put the politics back into it, empower the Home Secretary, end the asylum system as it is, and it should be a politician, a senior figure in the government, who says yes or no, not some woke judge in a court.
Something has to be done. This is just, as I keep saying, it is spiralling out of control. It is a major national emergency, and we have a government that just goes headline hunting by making stupid announcements. For example, today, Shabana Mahmood, or the Home Office, announced that from now on, there will be no foreign criminals allowed in this country. As soon as foreigners break the law, asylum seekers, migrants, foreigners, as soon as they break the law, they will be deported. They will be deported. You think, oh, that's great news. Good, well done, Shabana. At last, some common sense. Then you read the small print. All lawbreakers will be deported unless any member of their family is disproportionately affected. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
In other words, they won't be deported.
Exactly. And that will be interpreted again by a judge, Kevin, right? So it will be a judge who will look at this and decide whether there's a family member disproportionately affected, not somebody who can be held accountable at the ballot box. And that's where I say we've got to reset the entire system. For as long as we are in the European Convention of Human Rights and the Refugee Convention and have enshrined the European Convention of Human Rights into English law through the Human Rights Act, it barely matters what a politician says, because every single asylum seeker, real or bogus, has that to fall back on. So you've got to start from ground zero here. You've got to redesign the system from scratch. As I say, that might take a little bit more time to pass a law than it does to extend pub opening hours on Sunday night, but it should take a matter of days or weeks, not a matter of years. But it will drag on and drag on because the government is simply not willing to face it. It is addicted to schemes and bureaucracy and the way we administer the system, not the legal framework behind it. And for as long as we have the magnetic appeal that we are offering to basically virtually anyone who can get to these shores. We will house you and clothe you and give you all sorts of benefits. For as long as that magnetic appeal remains, we will continue to get a whole flood of people coming in. There's no point in pretending you can smash the gangs or stop.
Well, they didn't, did they?
They didn't. Change the incentives. Yeah, they've got nowhere on that. They've
exactly
got,
right.
You've got to change the law. Big time. And if you don't change the law, all of these schemes around it are rounding errors, Kev. Absolute rounding errors that will not make even a dent, won't touch the sides of this problem, I'm sorry to say.
Absolutely. A memo to Andy Burnham. No one cares about bigger postcodes and number 10 North. They care about the migrant crisis. You sort the migrant crisis out, Andy. You solve that, and you will win the next election. I'm just giving you that handy hint. Nobody cares about you governing the country from number 10 Coronation Street, Wigan. Nobody cares about growing postcodes or whatever the hell it is you're talking about, or more council houses. They care about the migrant crisis. Solve that, Andy, and you will be not only our next Prime Minister, you'll win the next election. So that you'll get the 10 years you want there. Free advice from Kevin O'Sullivan. I can't say fairer than that. Mark, enjoy the football. Good to talk to you as always. That is Mark Littlewood, the Director of Popular Conservatism. Breaking news, folks, major story. A Married at First Sight star has been arrested on suspicion of rape amid the scandal surrounding the Axed Channel 4 show. Cops swooped on the former male contestant after claims of rape and sexual misconduct were made by women on the programme. The Metropolitan Police said this relates to an ongoing investigation being led by the Met Police. He has been bailed while inquiries remain ongoing. This, of course, was the show where people who'd never met before are sort of married on telly. It's not real marriage, but they effectively are. So they become man and wife. It's a married at first sight. And, of course, the allegation is that some of the male contestants, if you call it that, sort of then said, well, you're my wife, I've got conjugal rights. And women say they were raped and sexually abused, assaulted in that way. So, major story there. I don't think Married at First Sight will be coming back to telly anytime soon. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk more about that grooming gang monster who's now walking the streets of Rochdale. Great news, isn't it? That next. Stay tuned.
Old news. On to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham. He just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. We've got
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Samara Gill is in the studio. Welcome, Samara.
Hello.
Let's talk about Shabir Ahmed, the monster, the man who raped, the animal, who raped 30 children. For some reason, he only got 22 years. That should be, whole life sentence, throw the key away. 30 children. And he gets 22 years. He's out after 14 years. You know, am I missing something there? That's wrong in itself. Anyway, it is what it is. He's now released. He's walking the streets of the north. Vigilantes have taken to the streets looking for him. And apparently him and his relatives say they're terrified, don't care. I should say that we shouldn't support vigilanteism. But what we need to do with this guy, we need to change that law.
Yeah.
We need to deport him. And if he gets persecuted, and if he gets tortured, and if he gets beaten up and killed when he gets to Pakistan, let's have a party.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he should not be anywhere near the public, and I think it's really unfortunate that the government has actually put British citizens in this position where they have to go out on the streets and do this, because this is really the result of them saying no more. And there's this, it's kind of slightly off-piece, but there is a movie that's come out. It's by a German director. It's called Citizen Vigilante, and it's actually been banned in the United Kingdom.
I've heard about this, yeah.
Banned in the United Kingdom, banned in Europe. It's gone very big online. And it's all about someone who takes matters into their own hands. And by the way, I don't think that's a good idea at all, and it's something that's a very stupid thing to do.
So we don't approve of vigilanteism.
We don't approve, but why are they putting us in these positions in the first place? It's like they try to put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole when they're trying to say, no, don't go out onto the streets, don't protest, don't do this, don't do that. Well, don't put people in this position. It's also seeing videos now of the migrants moving into those new houses, which was a big story just a couple of days ago. It looks like the residents don't want to have to be upset about this, but they have been kind of, you know, pushed into a certain way.
There's a guy called Billy Howarth, a local campaigner. He says he will patrol the area where Ahmed is suspected to be, out there in Rochdale, in the coming days. The police are also remaining on standby. Billy Howarth said he wasn't just a child rapist. He is the devil incarnate. He must be kept in jail or deported, no questions asked. I mean, Billy's exactly right, isn't he? Now, here's some quotes from one of Ahmed's victims, a lady called Ruby, who has her own children now. And she said, this is today, now that he's out, this bloke Ahmed, this monster, she said, I'm scared for my safety and my children's safety. The main ringleader, who is well known in Rochdale, Oldham and Middleton, is being released from prison. Even if he's not in those areas, he still knows people and could contact them, which makes me feel terribly unsafe. Or Ruby and the people of the north and the people of this country shouldn't have to live like this. What on earth is this government doing? This law, which means for some reason no one can be deported from the country if they got British citizenship from a Commonwealth country before 1973. Pakistan was a Commonwealth country before that date. For some reason, we can't deport him, even though we did take his citizenship away. Well, that law, we've just found out, you know, they can change a law. They've changed the law in about 2 hours flat in order to change the licensing laws so people can drink in pubs all the way through Sunday night, to watch the World Cup. So they did that fast enough. What about... I've got to... somebody... Yeah, here we are. Angie summed it up. So, she sent me a nice text here. So, pubs can stay open to let fans drink by changing the law. What about deporting that disgusting creature who's just been released? Two-tier crap. Why are they not doing this government? Is it, do they sort of not want to deport him? Do they actually worry about what might happen to him in Pakistan? I worry that he won't be tortured and killed if we send him back there. If he is, I'll be very pleased.
It's a really worthwhile question, actually. What is the government's motive behind not deporting him? Because it is quite clear that they can make these changes. Even Shabana Mahmood has said that she will try, under a potential Burnham government, to deport him. Burnham has come out very strong on this. Keir Starmer, who has defended, back in the day, some Islamic extremists, among other vile individuals, when he was a human rights lawyer and when he was head of the CPS, I don't think that he's hopping on to the whole deport case as quickly as the others on this. I think it is really, really concerning, because a lot of the victims, and Maggie Oliver's been quite vocal about having spoken as well to some of Shabir's, Ahmed's actual victims, just saying that they're absolutely distraught. I mean, they're not leaving their houses because they're so concerned that they might see him. The issue is that a lot of people are getting letters now in both Rotherham and Rochdale about their abuse getting let out early. So this isn't a story that's just open and shut. He gets deported and everyone goes, hooray, we've deported the ringleader of the grooming gangs. No, there are many others that are bound to come out. And unfortunately, we've already heard stories of people going down to their local Asda and bumping into their abuser, and they weren't even informed that that person was let out of prison. So this whole situation is a real mess on quite a large scale, bigger than this.
You've got people up there. There's one quote from a woman who's got nothing to do with it. She's a young woman. She's just got married, and she says that her and her husband have decided not to have children because they're a bit worried about this monster child rapist in their midst. I mean, that's how bad this is. Now, Andy Burnham, he posted on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, to his credit, to be honest with you. Like everyone, I want this vile criminal out of the country. Victims must come first. Exactly right. Let's think about the victims here, not this guy's rights. So, it says, victims must come first. I will ask the Home and Foreign Secretaries to review all possible options, and they should consider nothing is off the table. Well, the current administration, Keir Starmer's administration, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, they should be doing nothing else but sorting this out now. Why haven't we heard a word from them?
I know, there's this sense of urgency that absolutely isn't there. I mean, he's been freed today, so he's a free man as we sit in this studio right now and have this conversation. That shouldn't have happened. He should have been taken from the prison to an airport where he was then put on a plane and taken back to Pakistan. It's not hard, and they actually do have the power to do that. So the question really is why? Why are they not doing that? Why have they still got such a soft touch approach? Is it because they politicise the grooming gangs? Is that why? Because I think that's probably the answer to the question. I think that it is a real problem, and yes, Andy Burnham has come out and condemned this guy, but as Harry Cole said on Twitter, editor at large of The Sun, how has the left gone so far that we're actually celebrating him coming down on this grooming gang's pedophile? You know what I mean? He got such an amazing response to that it was like, that's commonsensical.
Yeah.
It should be a consensus that he is a bad person and he shouldn't be allowed to live in luxury in the United Kingdom, a country that he's basically slapped in the face for all the opportunities that we gave him. And he should be deported.
Of course he should be deported. And if we cannot deport a man who's just a very lengthy prison sentence for being a rape gang leader and personally raping 30 children, if we can't deport a monster like that, who the hell can we deport? You know, we need to look at ourselves. If we are unable to get rid of that monster and send him back to his home country, Pakistan, then, you know, this is just unacceptable. Unacceptable. It's not like, oh, we'll look into it and we'll come back to you. No. You changed the pub laws in about 3 hours flat. Now change the 1971 Immigration Act. get cracking and get cracking now. Let's go to break because that's one example of the madness that is our migrant crisis, that is our asylum seeker chaos. We've got another one for you next. Honestly, folks, this is getting beyond a joke, beyond a sick joke. Another case that reveals just what utter chaos, what an utter disaster this crisis is, this asylum seeker chaos, this migrant crisis. We've got this Home Secretary who likes to portray herself as tough as old boots and hard as nails. Well, she's not doing anything to stop this. She talks a good game, but the game she's playing is totally and utterly ineffective. We'll talk about this new case next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Samara Gill. Now, Samara, another example of the chaos of our migrant crisis and the sheer disaster that it is to this nation. This is a ridiculous story. I mean, very worrying. And it is this. There's a guy called, he's an Iraqi Kurdistani. He's a guy called Twani Jamal. Now, he was jailed for 5 years in France for people smuggling. He was dubbed the godfather of the traffickers. And he was raking in, before he was caught and jailed in France, £100,000 a week, smuggling migrants across the Channel to the UK, charging them £4,500 each. After his sentence was finished in France, he was ostensibly deported back to his native Iraqi Kurdistan. But didn't exactly go there, it seems. Instead, this is a BBC investigation has revealed that this guy made it to Britain. He now is living in a Leicestershire village called Blaby, driving a BMW without a licence, using a false name and working illegally in a shop. Naturally, of course, he's an asylum seeker and he's waiting to be given leave to stay in Britain, which he almost certainly will be, won't he? But let's have a look at what the BBC found when they investigated this guy.
Why are you claiming asylum? Why do you want to be in Britain?
I've been here for a long, long time.
Yeah, why? Why do you want to be in this country?
Because I was not safe at my country and then I came to this country.
Right, but you You came to this country via France, where you spent years people smuggling. You
No,
led one of the biggest people smuggling networks.
I never.
We know your past. We know your
Well,
past.
if you know that, there was just 1 second. I'll be back.
Well,
I'll be
no.
back to you guys.
No, I want to talk to you. We've
Right.
waited a long time to talk to you.
Okay.
We've seen you driving around in this country in a car.
even I thought-
Tell me what licence you've got. What valid
For what?
for driving around in this country in a?
I'm not
in
driving.
We've got
Even if I
photograph
drive,
evidence and video evidence of you driving.
Gross. For what?
So, good work by the BBC. The BBC is that finally... no, this is a good story. They've done well here.
No, I listened to the whole long report, actually.
Well, look. Here's my question about this guy. He shouldn't be in this country. And has he been arrested yet? What are the police doing about it? As far as I know, nothing. This is Britain for you. The police should see this
Yeah.
on the BBC, get straight into their 9-9 cars and, you know, they should go straight to this guy, arrest him and kick him out of the country. Instead, I'll guarantee he's still driving around illegally in his BMW in Blaby in Leicestershire.
Yeah, of
Nothing's
course.
happened.
No, I mean, look, it was really decent journalism by the BBC. I only shake my head slightly because they spent
Because
about...
it's the BBC.
Well, they spent about 15 minutes focusing on the fact that he didn't have a driving licence, and I'm thinking, is that really the problem here? I mean, this guy literally trafficked people through into the United Kingdom, and people trafficking, I mean, smuggling is such a cosy word to look at it. This is a really dark and dirty industry that he's involved in that is mostly linked to drugs, sex trafficking as well, and other really dubious crimes. So this is a vile individual. We're actually talking about, in the last segment, we're talking about a ringleader of the grooming gangs. He's a ringleader now of the people smuggling. And what really, really struck out to me about this story is that no one checked anything. His criminal record wasn't checked when he entered the country. He was previously in prison in France, and we didn't know about that. We had no idea that he served time in prison. He changed his name completely. Again, the British authorities never checked that. And it's really interesting about the fact that and actually spoke to the BBC under a false name. They said, in Leicester, he boasts, we know everyone in this city. This city is ours. I'm making great money. And they followed him around. The BBC followed him around for days. They found that he'd been driving around. He goes to all these like Turkish barbershops on the strip. He goes to all these different shops during the day. And then at night, he goes and works at a candy store.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah.
And he calls himself the Sultan, which means king.
And he says the police leave us alone.
Yes, he says the police leave us alone. This is our town. Interestingly, there's also a car wash that's involved, which apparently, according to the source that the BBC spoke to, is full of illegal migrants. And the illegal migrants that spoke to them had a very interesting view of England. I just want to read out to you because it was quite interesting. They said, England is where we can make money. We don't care about this country. We take the money, the food, and the passport. In Iraq and where else they come from, you would get none of that for free. Here they give us a house, NHS, and lawyers, and we have all the rights. Try any other country, and you will receive nothing. That's what the illegal immigrants said, and apparently they're all claiming benefits. And they're working at the car wash. So that's great.
Yeah. He says the police leave us alone. Why? Why do they leave him alone? Well, they shouldn't leave him alone now. What are you doing, Leicester Police? Go and get this guy. Arrest him. He's illegal, OK? Unbelievable.
Apparently they call the money from the government, by the way, haram money, which means illegal or forbidden in Arabic. But what they mean is that they're able to work and at the same time claim benefits off the government. So it's a real rort that's going on in Leicester, and it really needs to be looked into.
So this guy, the godfather of traffickers, Twana Jamal, he's about 41 now, 42. He too must be deported. He must be thrown out of the country. Come on, Leicester Police. You know, the BBC has revealed he's breaking the law on a serial basis. Shouldn't even be here. Go and arrest him. You know, do your job. Don't just, oh, that's a good story. Did you see that on the BBC? No, you're a copper. Go, he's breaking the law. Go and do something about it. Well, this is the trouble with this country. Nobody ever does anything. They just, oh, that's a terrible thing, and then they just don't do anything about it.
It's also the system is so broken. Reading that they never checked his criminal record and the fact that he'd been in prison less than 12 months before he entered, and he also used a fake name, means that now he can get away with so much more because he's in the country already. It's too far gone now.
Yeah. So memo to Leicester Police, don't let him taunt you by saying, oh, the police leave us alone. Don't leave him alone. Go and tell him, go and show him that we do have coppers here who can be effective. Go and arrest him. Go on. Now, before you go, there's a video doing huge business on social media, particularly TikTok. Loads of views on YouTube as well. And we put this to the Home Office to ask them for their take on it. What I would say is I cannot 100% guarantee the veracity, the genuineness of this video, but it's doing huge numbers on TikTok. Huge numbers on TikTok, huge numbers on YouTube, and it has not been challenged. We're waiting for the Home Office to respond. But it's been doing the rounds for a couple of days now, so I suspect the Home Office do accept it's genuine. But take a look.
This is the end of England!
There you go, big machete. In the background, actually, you can see that there's lots of what looks like passports being thrown into the English Channel.
That's rather provocative, isn't it?
By his fellow migrants on this vessel. There he is with a machete. He thinks that's a big machete. He should go to Tower Hamlets where they got some real machetes, but he's in for a bit of a shock. Call that a machete? This is Britain. But seriously, this is the end for England. I mean, you know...
This is the end for England,
yes, allowing this sort of person into the country, he will arrive at Dover, Folkestone, Deal, wherever he pitches up, be put into a hotel within about a day, 4-star hotel, 50 quid a week, benefits, free lawyers, free doctors, free dentists, etc., free food.
That's what they've even just been saying to the BBC. I mean, the evidence is there. They literally just said that they give you a house, NHS and lawyers for free, and Iraq would never give us this. I mean, even just going back to the Jamal story, he basically said, this is what he said about England to reporters. He said, everyone here is after money. They don't care about rules or paying taxes. We can do whatever we want. We don't you dare tell me that there are human rights. It doesn't matter. And then he's just basically... So what I'm trying to say is it's a real look into the psychology of someone who does come across the channel with this entitled attitude. And I think that unfortunately, the system facilitates that and almost mollycoddles that sort of psychology.
And when you say the guy with the machete is rather entitled as well, let me know what you think about that, folks. This is the end for England. Machete, you know. As I say, can't 100% vouch for the validity of that video, but I'll tell you, I think it is genuine because it's been doing the rounds. Massive numbers on TikTok, huge numbers on YouTube, no official challenge. We've asked the Home Office, no response from them, so I think it's genuine. And I mean, I would say it's shocking, but it's sort of par for the course, really, isn't it? These are the kind of people we're letting into the country. Again, this migrant crisis, I think we're reaching sort of peak crisis point now. It's just out of control, and we have a Home Office that's not doing anything about it. We have a Home Secretary who just goes headline hunting, doesn't really do anything about it. The government that doesn't really do anything about it. It's just a disaster, isn't it? 0344 499 1000. Well, Samara Gill, thank you so much. When we come back, another one of these Lib Dem councils, this one's in Cambridge, has banned England fans from hanging the England flag, the Union Jack and the St George's Cross during the World Cup, because they say it's not inclusive and it's not safe. Quite why it's not safe, I don't really know. But this is the Lib Dems. We've got to ask Ed Davey, is this official Lib Dem policy? This isn't the first Lib Dem council to do this, to ban the patriotic flying of our national flags during the World Cup. Always Lib Dems. So if you're watching, Sir Ed, I know you're a big fan. I'm a big fan of yours, you cretin. But seriously, if you are watching, Sir Ed Davey, is this official Lib Dem policy that we don't like patriotic flying of the British flags or the English flags? Just a question hanging there in the air. Next up, we'll talk about this latest ban of British or English flags. So stay tuned.
Old news. On to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham, who just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. If you've got...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, those Lib Dems have been and gone and done it again. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. The Lib Dem-run Oxfordshire County Council won a High Court injunction banning residents of that great area, banning them from flying flags, particularly English and English flags, the St George's Cross and of course, the Union Jack on or near public highways. They said, A, it's not safe. I don't know why it's not safe. And B, it's divisive and it makes migrants feel uncomfortable. Well, if they feel uncomfortable in a country that flies its own flags, perhaps they should maybe not be migrants, because that tends to be the deal. When you go to a country, most countries tend to fly their own flags. Any foreigners visiting those countries ought to sort of get that on board. But anyway, Lib Dems have done it again. This is Cambridge County Council, where the Lib Dem leader, a woman called Lucy Nether-Singer, said that it was great, fantastic to see people showing support for England during the World Cup by flying these flags. But it must be done in a safe, inclusive way with permission. Let's talk to Robert Taylor, journalist and broadcaster and author of Tears for England, because he's been crying about our national team ever since 1966. We all have been, and let's hope our tears might end during this World Cup, but it's going to be a tough night, I think, on Sunday at the Azteca Stadium when we play Mexico, Robert. But first of all, let's talk about this latest ban by a Lib Dem council from its residents flying the England flag or the Union Jack during the World Cup, saying it's not inclusive. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that people shouldn't be able to fly the flags. And I would say, Kevin, why do people put up the England flag on lampposts? Partly, of course, it's to celebrate Englishness, it's to celebrate supporting the national team, but it's also because the councils themselves so rarely put up the England flag. They might deign to put up the UK flag, the Union Jack, they might put up the Pride flag or even the Palestinian flag, the Ukrainian flag. But how often do you see Cambridge or Bristol or any of these other left-wing councils put up the England flag? So rarely, maybe on St George's Day, that's it. No surprise then that residents are thinking, well, if you're not going to fly the flag, we'll put them up in our street anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get word, don't we, from the Lib Dem leader, Sir Ed Davey, because it's always the Lib Dem councils. Is this official Lib Dem policy that they don't like our national flags, our English flags? I mean, we need to hear from them about this, because I think, you know, reading between the lines of this, these people think, oh, it's not safe. It's not inclusive. What does that mean, for God's sake? But what it adds up to is they don't like our national flags, the English national flags. They think it's something to do with far-right extremism or something.
So what is it about the England flag that is unwelcoming or lacking inclusivity? Why isn't the Scottish flag, the saltire, why isn't that equally unwelcoming to immigrants? It's always one rule for the England flag and it's another rule for the Scottish or Welsh flag. And I think part of the problem is there's been sort of left-wing shame about Englishness ever since George Orwell, 80 years ago, said that, you know, intellectuals in this country find Englishness somehow embarrassing or something.
That's right, yeah, and he said he called them sandal wearers, so they've always been the same. Lib Dems, if the Lib Dems went out of business, the sandal trade would die swift death, I'll tell you that. Robert, not long enough, but you got your message across. Thank you very much. Always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Robert Taylor, journalist and broadcaster there. Our national flag. Fly it proudly, folks. Philip Kisley next. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, welcome back. It has now just been confirmed that pubs will be able to stay open until 5 a.m. So well done to Keir Starmer. He's finally done something that I think the nation will appreciate. He's finally done something popular. But before we go on, two teenage boys. Remember those kids who, those rapist kids who were spared jail by the judge, a guy called Nicholas Rowland, Judge Nicholas Rowland. He said that they subjected these two girls to these horrific ordeals, 90 minutes of torture and rape. And these kids, these teenage rapists, turned up in court, and the ludicrous judge, Nicholas Rowland, said that he didn't want to, he wanted to avoid criminalising them unnecessarily. What about the victims? They raped two girls. Anyway, this has gone to the Court of Appeal because he didn't send them to jail. Well, two of those teenage boys convicted of rape in Fordingbridge, Hampshire, have now been given 4-year sentences in a detention centre after the Court of Appeal changed their original sentences. The Judge Nicholas Rowland was accused of not taking this case seriously enough. Rape. A judge didn't take the case seriously enough. This is what I'm going on about. What is happening to this country? That you have a judge gets this case, these two girls, these poor girls, one of them was filmed while these little monsters raped her, subjected to this 90-minute ordeal. You get this judge says, oh, I don't want to criminalise you. You go off you go. Don't do it again, eh? I think he advised them that they went to, or sent them to, a course on the meaning of consent. They knew very much what the meaning of consent was. They just broke the rule, didn't they? They forced these girls into having sex. They were raped. And the judge didn't take it seriously enough. What is going on? Anyway, two of those boys now have got what they deserve, which is, well, at least they're going to be detained. They got 4 years. I don't think that's enough. In 40 years, try that. That'll deter them. They'll be out in 2 years for vicious rape. It's all wrong, isn't it? This country, that's what I'm saying. We used to be a serious country. We're not properly punishing rapists. We're not sending rapists to jail. And then we give them 4... Oh, it's all right, put it right, we've got 4 years. 4 years? Come on, it's just a joke. Let's go over to my next guest, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Philip, welcome. I'm just feeling today that this country seems to me to be falling apart at the seams. Nothing ever seems to get achieved. The migrant crisis now is spiralling out of control, and we've got this particularly egregious case of this Pakistani guy who's been released today after serving 14 years of a 22-year sentence. Why was he being released? His crime was to rape 30 children. I think that's not worth 22 years. That's a whole life sentence. You throw the key away. This country is just becoming unserious. It's far more unserious due to the fact that the Labour government says, oh, we can't deport him. Even though he's a Pakistani, he got British citizenship when Pakistan was a Commonwealth country before 1973, and a clause in the Immigration Act says that means even though we stripped him of his British citizenship, we cannot deport him. They just changed the law to allow people to drink on Sunday night in pubs while England are playing Mexico in the World Cup in about 3 hours. They could do the same here. Why aren't they changing the law? Why aren't they getting this man off the streets? He poses a clear and present serious danger to British children. This is a disgrace.
It is a disgrace. We are not a serious country, and as the case you mentioned before, the judge did not take child rape seriously. So if a judge is not going to take child rape seriously, they won't take anything else seriously, because I can't think of anything more serious. Okay, so they could close the loophole. They could amend the 1971 Immigration Act. They could do that quite easily, and they could just get rid of him. The thing is, they don't want to do that.
They don't, do they? They're worried about his rights. They're worried about him being persecuted in Pakistan. I'm worried that he might not get persecuted in Pakistan. I want him to have a very, very hard time. If they torture him, beat him up and kill him, good news.
I don't think it's just that. I think they're worried about a backlash from minorities in this country as well. I think they are completely stymied, and they just cannot do anything. It feels as though the country is grinding to a halt with this. I mean, the victims don't. They not only feel afraid for themselves now that this monster is back at the bottom of the bed, the victims feel afraid for their own children. Okay, that's the depth of the trauma. That's the impact that these monsters, this human excrement, has on not only victims, but generations and whole communities. The whole society of Rochdale there is fretting. We have vigilantes now, actually, as we speak, on the street policing, because they don't feel as though the authorities are policing adequately. They don't feel as though they are getting the adequate kind of protection from these monsters. And this is plural. You know, this man wasn't on his own. This was This was the gang rape of children, but we do not take it seriously as a society. Or perhaps a better way of saying that is we are frightened of taking it seriously as a society because we are sectarian. Constantly we're on the verge of upheaval. We're on the verge of civil unrest. The authorities always have to take that eventuality into consideration, and it's crippling us.
Yeah, I just want to ask the audience, give me a call, 03444991000. Are you sharing, Philip shares my frustration and fury. Are you sharing my fury over this? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this government. I'm sick of these politicians. Oh, well, you know, there's a clause in the 1971 Immigration Act. Well, we can't. His human rights. He might get persecuted in Pakistan. We don't care. Get him off the streets of this country. He poses a danger to British children. Priorities, government, priorities. Now, glad I got you, Philip, because this is breaking news. It has just broken, and I think it's a very serious and important story. Sinister and disturbing. The Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, has just posted that she is leaving X, or Twitter as it used to be, along with the whole Department of Culture, Media and Sport. She's posted, I've decided to leave this platform, and my department will too. A platform originally designed for free speech and expression now favours abuse and misinformation over meaningful debate. It isn't healthy for our democracy or our communities, and I don't want to support it. You can follow me on blah, 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 blah. That dials into our incoming Prime Minister, who has so far avoided journalists like the plague, refused to take questions after his asinine speech on Monday, hasn't turned up in the House of Commons once so far, has not spoken to any journalist. I think it was Quinton Letts in the Mail described him as a scent vacuum. This is indicative of a government that does not like freedom of speech. We have the Prime Minister-designate does not want to talk to journalists. And I think given his position that he's about to take over the running of this country, it's incumbent of him to offer the nation transparency. Talk to journalists. Tell us what you're about. He's avoiding that. Now we've got Cabinet Secretary Lisa Nandy delivering her own opinion on what she thinks X is. And I would suggest trampling on freedom of speech by saying we won't be there anymore. What she actually means about X is it's full of posts and opinions that I don't like. That's what she means.
Well, I mean, the irony here is off the scale, isn't it? She's just, you know, that statement is just pure misinformation. X is perhaps the only really free speech platform we have. It's the only way we can properly hold the government to account. It's the only way we actually really know what's going on, you know. So if they want to remove themselves from that, they want to remove themselves from the cut and thrust of debate, they want to remove themselves from any kind of scrutiny. I mean, we knew that this was going to happen because they've been systematically doing it for the last couple of years, you know, one step at a time, closing things down. It makes me wonder if they're going to go on to Blue Sky, or indeed she is on Blue Sky, that echo chamber that supports them.
Where left-wing people all agree with each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an echo chamber, but it's indicative of the state of this country. They cannot deal with the monster they've unleashed, which stems, I always say this, but it's absolutely true. It stems from mass immigration. It goes through identity politics, and it results in Islamism. All of this stuff they cannot deal with. They don't have the toolkit. They don't know where to start. So their knee-jerk response is just to close everything down. It's almost like they're closing their eyes, putting their fingers in their ears and going, no.
Well, it's funny you should say that because, by the way, she's actually not on Blue Sky, but give it time. But she's still on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. But this post, she said, oh, you know, X, as I say, as you and I both agree, what this is about, the reason Keir Starmer doesn't like X, they call it a carrier, a vector of misinformation. And it's not necessarily a vector of misinformation. Like all social media sites, you should treat everything on it with a certain amount of skepticism. But what they don't like about it is it's full of people who have opinions that they don't like. It's full of severe critics of this government. This is socialism for you. This is socialists at work. Critics will be silenced. It's as simple as that, isn't it? This government deplores freedom of speech. They always say, you know, Keir Starmer, the gang, they always go, I'm a big supporter of freedom of speech, but...
Yeah, exactly. There's always a but. You know what I mean? I'm a big supporter of freedom of speech, but shut up.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's it, essentially. Calm down. You know, everything's great. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what, go and get drunk and watch the football. You can do that till 5 o'clock in the morning. Then you don't have to think about what's going on. What they don't want is two things, okay? They don't want the mass of people looking at what's going on and swapping information and having a go at them on the one hand, and they don't want big accounts or big-ish accounts really kind of holding them to account and pushing back on them, and lots of people seeing these very, very penetrating questions that people ask on social media. Yes, there's lots of things wrong with X, okay, but it is a free speech platform, and we desperately need free speech at the moment. That's the one thing we desperately need. It's the one thing that will help us get out of this mess, because we cannot solve problems if we cannot thrash them out. They need to be there in the public square. We need to have, you know, reasons to deal with things, and we don't at the moment. All we've got is close down, shut up, and if you don't do that, if you don't toe the line, we will put you in prison. That's where we are, because people go to prison for tweets, and yet, you know, children who rape other children mustn't be unnecessarily criminalised.
Exactly right, yeah. Now, I'm just going to read that tweet out again, folks. This is from the Secretary of Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy. I have decided to leave this platform, and my department will too. A platform originally designed for free speech and expression now favours abuse and misinformation over meaningful debate. It isn't healthy for our democracy or our communities, and I don't want to support it. Now, let's remember that this is a government that was talking the other day about using trusted media outlets to disseminate its news. In other words, it is choosing media outlets that it likes, like the BBC, and will be cutting out media outlets that it doesn't like. Dare I say, like talk?
Exactly. This will be state-approved propaganda, and channels like this will come increasingly under the cosh. You know, I mean, her statement there is, "I don't like this. It's horrid. Some people are horrid on it, so I'm not going to engage with it." I've got news for you. Some people are really horrible to me on X, and I know that some people are really horrible to you.
Oh yeah.
So what? Big deal. Yeah. You know, we need debate. We need to thrash out ideas, and that's one of the few spaces, and this is one of the few spaces where we can do that. I worry very much about free speech because the consequences are unthinkable.
Yeah, this is sinister. This is sinister. Now, the sort of enormity, the magnitude of what happened on Monday has passed a lot of people by. So this guy, Andy Burnham, you know, this weirdly our Prime Minister designate, not tested by democracy either of the people or even of his own party, his own MPs, just wafting into number 10 Downing Street. So I suppose he did realise it was incumbent upon him to make some kind of, you know, statement of intent, opening address and all that. So he does that, you know, and then we got that vapid spew of nonsense about number 10 North, more council houses, bigger postcodes or some claptrap like that. That was it. And of course, after that, usually after a speech, a person, you know, a politician would say, OK, questions from the media. They were banned. He did not submit himself to any questions from the media. My question would have been, yeah, great about 10 Coronation Street, Wigan, you governing from up there. Yeah, fantastic. That's what we've all been hoping for. Couldn't care less. Oh, more council houses, great. Oh, you're going to have a few more mayors and there'll be growth in every postcode. Nice speech, Andy, but can I ask you about the migrant crisis? Can I ask you about net zero? Can I ask you about law and order? Blah, blah, blah. The economy, the defence budget. No. You can't ask me that because I'm banning all questions. Many questions. That speech begged so many questions. It is extremely significant and extremely sinister that he did not allow himself to be cross-examined by the media after that speech. That is a sign of things to come. Socialists do not like freedom of the press. They like to control the media. I think that's what's coming down the tracks.
I think it is. They don't like awkward questions. They don't like people thinking about silly things like costs, for example, you know. And all of this stuff just tells me that none of it's really thought through. It's just gimmick after gimmick after gimmick with a few Smith's quotes thrown in there.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah. And the poster competition. Don't forget the poster competition.
At the poster competition, you know, I'm just waiting for Morrissey to lash out at him, you know, because he's really not going to like Andy Burnham. Yeah. But this is like, you know, don't look too closely. Don't scrutinize us. Just carry on with your little lives. This is paternalistic socialism. This is what we've always had. It's a harbinger of disaster because that's what's always down the line. These people do not know what they're doing. They're drunk on power. He really does love himself. I mean, for me, that's the big red flag, really. He's so pleased with himself. He thinks he's great. And this is just, there isn't, and with those people, always, there is no substance. And we desperately need, after the catastrophe of the last 2 years, we need a serious grown-up person to get us out of this mess, because we are in a mess. We don't have it. And I guarantee you, Kev, from here on in, it's going to be a drop into utter disaster.
Yeah, a socialist disaster. I hope there's more to him than that speech on Monday, because his ideas so far seem clapped out, threadbare, seen it all before, just from the old Kumbaya socialist guidebook. It's really, I hope he's got more imagination, more new ideas than this, but so far it doesn't look good.
Something else, just very, very quickly as well. He can't make the conceptual leap from the local to the national and the international, and he would be, you know, acting as prime minister just as a mayor, and that difference, he cannot understand it, and he really needs to understand the difference between a mayor and a prime minister.
Yeah, you're right. That speech was so parochial. You know, got countries like India, America, you know, like bursting into new universes with the AI revolution, and he's talking about hope in every postcode. Fantastic. I'll leave you with a bombshell breaking news item that you can celebrate. According to the I newspaper, Andy Burnham is considering making the GMB presenter, the Good Morning Britain presenter, Ed Balls, a peer, so he can give him a job in his government. Lord Balls is all set to balls up the country. Thank you very much, Philip. Always good to talk to you. That's Philip Kilsley, a fellow of the New Culture Forum. Next up, we're going to talk about Henry Novak's terrified killer, Vikram Digwa. He's sobbing away in a jail, and he's been, well, he's told he's going to be in the same wing of Frankland prison, where Ian Huntley, not so long ago, was pretty much killed, was attacked and fatally injured and died of his wounds. Vikram was not at all keen on the idea of going into Wing A at Frankland prison. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Andy Burnham just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm going to talk about Vikram Digwa. He's that Sikh who killed poor Henry Novak and then claimed that Henry Novak had subjected him to racist abuse, which was a complete lie. Meanwhile, the coppers, of course, handcuffed poor Henry while he was dying, while he was choking on his own blood, and then sort of almost mocked him when he said, I've been stabbed. Doesn't look like it, mate. He had been stabbed, and they didn't realise that for 8 minutes, and he went on to die. Vikram Digwa, serving a life sentence now. He's been caged in Franklin Prison, fairly notorious jail. But he got there and he said, right, you're going to A wing. And apparently he went, no way! Someone was murdered there. He's talking about Ian Huntley, you know, the Soham rapist and killer. Ian Huntley, a few months back, was attacked viciously by a fellow inmate and died of his serious wounds. So Vikram Digwa is refusing to go to the same wing where Ian Huntley was killed, which means he's been stuck in the segregation unit, which is apparently very, very grim. He's lost all of his privileges, isn't even allowed to watch the telly. So jail is turning into a nightmare for him, which I guess is what it's supposed to be. I hope it gets worse. Let's talk to criminal psychologist Dr. David Holmes. Hello, David.
Hi there.
What is Vikram Digwa going through now? I mean, I did a story last week, similar in a way, you know, that awful man, Jamie Varley, the gay guy who adopted a baby, poor little Preston Davy, and then sexually abused the poor little kid to death. He's in Wakefield jail, which is the most notorious prison in Britain. It's called Monster Mansion. It's where all the worst criminals are kept. And he's in a terrible state, apparently, just sobbing, won't eat, blah, blah, blah. Vikram Digwa is mortified by the idea he's going to be sent to, or was going to be sent to, A wing in Franklin Prison, where Ian Huntley was killed. So he's terrified. He says someone got murdered there. So he's refusing to go there. So he's being held without privileges in the segregation wing, which is apparently like the worst bit of a terrible prison. But what will he be going through? You know, I mean, until that terrible night in Southampton, I don't think he'd been in too much trouble. He's never done prison before. What's it like to suddenly be in jail and to know, a hellhole jail, and to know you got to spend the rest of your life there?
I think, really, you're starting, well, it's not so much a war, it's a survival game. But the guy wants comfort. The guy wants protection from the police, from the prison itself. And when you consider we put people in prison as a kind of, well, rehabilitation is the number one word, but I'm afraid it comes well down the list from keeping them from others and from harming others.
But by the way, sorry to interrupt you, David. Yeah. Is rehabilitation the primary function of prison? I don't think it is. I think the primary function of prison is punishment. It's to take your freedom away because you have seriously broken the law. You are being punished. OK, rehabilitation is a nice subsidiary function of jail, but it's not the primary function. The primary function is punishment, isn't it?
Oddly enough, no. It's the primary function actually is rehabilitation. That's the number one.
Hang on. Well, where does punishment come in the list of functions of a prison? Way down the list?
Comes in at about number 3.
Well, I'm saying that's rubbish. That's rubbish. That's absolute garbage. Surely, no. It's got to be punishment first, hasn't it? You know, judges don't say, I'm sentencing you to 5 years of rehabilitation. They don't say that, do they?
Well, the idea is to put people off. So deterrence is high in the list, which is what you're talking about, really.
Yeah.
You deter people because you really don't want to go to prison. It's going to be awful. They're going to train you. They're going to make you, you know, somebody who can get a job.
Yeah, but they very rarely do, don't they?
I think when it comes to lifers, there's no real intention.
Exactly.
The idea is to keep them alive as best as possible. There are other alternative approaches, which I won't go into because they generate an awful lot of hatred and
Well, let's go back to Vikram Digwa if we can, David.
Yeah.
To go back to that sort of question, what do you know? As I say, I did a similar story about that guy Jamie Varley last week, and I always think it's a interesting, compelling story about what these people must be going through. Previously, people of ostensibly good character who'd never been to jail. Suddenly they are in these hellhole prisons, the worst kind of prisons, Category A prisons, full of seriously dangerous people. They're really noisy, they scream, they shout. What is Vikram Digwa going through as he experiences this at the beginning of what he now knows will be probably the next 25, 30 years of his life?
On the one hand, it's fear. Fear day by day, fear for the next day.
Yes.
However, it's also a search for control. The idea that he can grasp some kind of control from the situation to be able to govern himself to some degree, he will push and push hard for all he's worth, basically, to do that, to keep himself as someone who can survive day to day, be confident that the next day he's going to be safe from attack.
Would you say then, David, that may be at the root of what we're talking about? The reason that he has told the guards, the prison officers, I am not going to A wing, because that's where Ian Huntley got killed. That is a method by him to gain some kind of control over his predicament. Is that what we're talking about there?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. This is, from, prisons immemorial, there've always been people that will try and control the situation. Ian Brady was an expert at this.
Yes.
He would actually control the situation from the point of view of someone who's powerless. So it's one of those things where you not always sure if you're actually grasping for the right thing, because needless to say, being in segregation is a massive punishment itself, to be honest. Most people survive quite well on an ordinary wing. They get the usual kind of privileges in order to be able to survive years and years and years locked up. And they get the chance to do, sort of job creation schemes and all that kind of thing. But in isolation, you have a radio. You can read books if you wish.
He can't. He can't. He's lost his privileges. He's not allowed television, books or anything because he's refusing to go to A wing. So I wonder how long he will hold out with that. But of course, both people like Jamie Varley that we're talking about just now and Vikram Digwa, they face an additional terror because there's a target on their back, isn't there? All these prisoners, many of them serving life, who've got nothing to lose. They'll gain themselves brownie points and status by trying to kill Vikram Digwa.
Yeah, this kind of target on your back. The idea that someone, through notoriety alone, somebody who's high in the news, who's made the papers for some reason, will become a target. Someone where you have a sense that you're carrying the justice for the ordinary population, for the ordinary man on the street, as opposed to the justice system. You then feel as though you have the right to harm, to kill these individuals. You've got Sutcliffe was attacked. You've got most notorious ones have been attacked in some way, shape or form. And of course, with Huntley, he was killed. And it was just one prisoner with an iron bar, that's it. And you're gone.
Yeah.
But in the case of Vikram, it's a kind of game that he's got to kind of play because he knows he'll stand a chance against the I think they are secretive thugs. They are people that are used to violence. They are people that can dish out violence very quickly, and given a chance, and it would only be the thinnest of chances, he'd be dead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hold out much hope for Vikram Digwa or Jamie Varley. They are both in really serious jails, and there will be a target on their backs, and I suspect that target will be hit before too long. Don't celebrate that, of course, but that is a chilling fact of life in these prisons. David, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. David Holmes there, Dr. David Holmes there, criminal psychologist. Vikram Digwa, quivering. He's in a segregation unit. He won't go to the same wing where Ian Huntley was killed. He suspects he'll be the next Ian Huntley. I suspect he will too. Hang on, the breaking news. My God, what a day. Former safeguarding minister Jess Phillips has told the Times Radio, oh my God, that Lisa Nandy's mental health is about to get better after the Culture Secretary announced she and the department are coming off the social media platform. What's she talking about? That being on X or Twitter is bad for your mental health. These people, these Labour people, they're on a planet of their own. They're in their own universe. And they don't like Twitter because it's full of people who don't like them, like me. Let's go to break, and next up we're going to talk about this amazing, it's good news this, the Home Office, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, have announced that from now on, all foreign criminals who break the law, all foreigners who break the law here, will be deported. Sounds good, doesn't it? At last, a hardline approach, but there's a sting in the tail. We'll talk about that next. Stick around. Back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. He is a former Detective Chief Inspector, Met Police ex-head, National Counter-Terrorism Security Officer. My God, that's a lot. Right, that's the end of the item. We were going to just read your jobs out. We haven't got any more time, Chris. It's Chris Phillips. Welcome to the show. Always good to have you on board. I wanted to get you on this one because this is like one of these Alice in Wonderland situations that we seem to experience so often with this government. I read this story last night, actually, and I thought, blimey, this is good news. Excellent. That Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary and the Home Office, are going to expand removal orders beyond high-level crimes. So foreigners who break the law go to jail here in this country. Hitherto, you could get a jail sentence of any jail sentence less than 12 months. You were unlikely to get deported. Only serious criminals would get deported. So this says, no, we're going to expand it, and all foreigners who come here and break the law will be deported. So, oh, that's great. This is Yeah, and then this is the immigration and asylum bill published on Tuesday. Everybody will be, if you break the law, you're out. Wait a minute. Unless, this is what it says, I'm quoting, unless the effect on the person or a member of their family would be disproportionate. In other words, no one's going to get deported, are they?
Well, this is the point, and we just cannot trust our immigration judges to do the right thing here. This is just not happening. I mean, it's a bit like Shamama Begum, isn't it? That as soon as she thought she might be coming back to the UK, she became very westernised.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're culturally integrated into this country, then that's another reason for you not to get deported. So there are just too many ways out of these new legislation that comes in, and of course the lawyers are excellent at opening them up and keeping people in the country.
And you know what this is in the end, Chris? This is our old friend, the European Convention on Human Rights. So all deportations are subject to the ECHR. And in nearly every case, as we try to deport someone who's a rapist or a paedophile or a violent criminal, gun runner, drug dealer, they will turn around and say, well, I've got a right to a family life. I've got children here.
And look, I wear a pair of jeans.
Yeah, exactly. Unless the effect on the person themselves or a member of their family would be disproportionate. In other words, they're going to say, if you deport me, I know I'm a paedophile and I've just done 10 years, but if you deport me, this will really upset my son.
Well, I think that, the whole point of this, Kevin, is that we don't trust anymore the legal system to do the right thing by the country. It's all aimed. And, the Human Rights Act was never designed for this kind of stuff. It's been misused and abused and opened up and stretched until now. Basically, you can't deport anyone. And this is the problem that I think the public are very aware of. And politicians have just been unwilling to change that situation.
Yeah, so this astonishing new hardline innovation actually does not change the dial one bit. It will be exactly the same as it is now. We try to deport people when they come out of jail. They always say, what about my wife? I've got children, or I'm going to be persecuted if you send me back to Syria or whatever. So this...
And if you imagine this in other countries, Kevin, if you imagine this in Australia or the Philippines or one of those countries, if you committed an offence over there, you'd be put in prison and then ejected. You'd be deported.
I know. It is
in the Middle East. It's exactly the same. You just wouldn't be there. This is not an issue for them. We found a way of making this difficult.
It's balmy Britain. Balmy Britain, where, there's a similar...
It's balmy Europe, to be honest, Kevin. Balmy Europe.
Yeah, but we're the leaders. We're the world leaders in balminess, I think, when it comes to the migrant crisis. So I want to get your take, Chris, while you're on, about a similar sort of issue, really. And this is there's a dreadful case of this guy, Shabir Ahmad, a rape gang leader in Rochdale, who was sentenced to 22 years in 2012 for raping 30 children. 30. He was a rape gang leader, not just a rape gang member. He taught other of his gang how to catch kids, how to drug them, how to ply them with drink, how to torture them, how to sexually abuse them, how to rape them. This guy, massive animal, just an animal. Don't know why he's getting out today after 14 years of a 22-year sentence. The sentence in itself, I think, is nowhere near long enough. But getting out after 14 years for raping 30 children is a scandal in itself. But the real scandal is this, a la what we were just talking about. There's a clause in the 1971 Immigration Act that says because this guy, Shabir Ahmad, gained British citizenship before 1973. He's a Pakistani. At that point, Pakistan was part of the British Commonwealth. Because he was a Commonwealth citizen who got British citizenship before 1973, we cannot deport him. The law says we can't do it, even though we have stripped him of his British citizenship. But because of that clause in that law, we cannot deport him. And we've been saying, my audience is saying, people all over the country screaming at this government, bloody well change the law then and do it fast. You just changed the law so that people can go drink in the pubs to watch England in the World Cup on Sunday night. That took you about 3 hours. Change this other law and deport this monster. Get him back to Pakistan. And yet we're hearing nothing from the government. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's go back to the start of this. This is a man who is so depraved. It's 30 rapes he was charged with. It's probably hundreds upon hundreds of rapes.
Good point.
That he is responsible for. So 22 years in prison for that. So that is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous sentence. 22 years for that kind of offence is too small.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And then he's out in 14 years. So it's a lie. Why give him 22 years if you know he's going to be out in 14 years? It's a means of making the public think, oh, well, we've really punished this guy badly. 14 years for hundreds of rapes, effectively. Yeah. That's just not protecting.
That's a disgrace. But what about the fact don't you think, Chris, the government should get its backside in gear and pass a law, change the law? I reckon they could do it in about 48 hours flat, maybe even faster. Do it and get this guy off the streets. He poses a serious threat to British children.
Yes, I absolutely do. But the point is this: if the public see that sentences aren't good enough, aren't strong enough, the prisons aren't doing the job properly of keeping people locked up, that the government's unwilling to do this, then what you do is you build a vigilante system in the country that takes into the law into its own hands. And having been a policeman for 30 years, I was always trying to tell people that we will catch these people, we will try them, and you will get your justice.
Yeah.
None of this is justice. And I don't think any of the victims who happen to live, many of them will live in the same area that this monster's been released into, and will possibly see him. I mean, how bad would that be when these poor girls have been raped and really badly treated by this man?
It's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But Chris, always love having you on the show. Thank you very much for your contribution. That's Chris Phillips, former Detective Chief Inspector. He was the Met Police's head of National Counter-Terrorism Security. Now, next up, we're going to talk to Charlie White, reporter at the Sun newspaper. He's over there in America. We're going to talk about the World Cup, of course. Did anyone notice that England beat Congo yesterday? We on this show didn't really notice because it was on during this show and we had to be on air. And after 5 o'clock, our audience went from a very healthy number to just about zero, actually. That's not true. A lot of people, I dedicated the show to football haters everywhere. Loads of people texted in to say, thank God for you, I hate football, couldn't care less about England. So not everybody's got World Cup fever, but I sort of have, and I think Charlie Wyatt has as well, and we'll talk to Charlie next. Stay where you are.
on to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham. Just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We'll go over to Charlie Wyatt, Chief Football Correspondent at The Sun, in just a second. But first, it's competition time. In case you hadn't realised, the 2026 World Cup has officially kicked off. Here at Talk, we are celebrating in style. How do you fancy getting your hands on a massive £26,000 in tax-free cash? Imagine what you could do with all that money. If you could do with a boost to your bank balance this summer, then here are the details on how to enter.
For your chance to win, visit talk.tv/win or text TALK to 83338 by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July 2026. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or send your name and number by post to Comp 1 PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus, UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talk.tv/win.
Welcome back. Good luck with that competition. Welcome back. Let's go straight over to Kansas to talk to the chief football correspondent at the Sun newspaper. What a massive operation the Sun has got going on the World Cup. They've got people in every town in Canada, America and Mexico. Welcome, Charlie. Your thoughts, first of all, about yesterday's match, England-Congo. I mean, we got it done, but I think we're going to have to play better than that when we go up against Mexico on Sunday. Mexico are no slouches, and that Azteca Stadium, very hot, high altitude, huge crowd, Mexican crowd. It's going to be tough, isn't it?
It's going to be really tough. And, you know, I mean, it's going to be a great story because, of course, the last time England played in that famous stadium 40 years ago was the Diego Maradona Hand of God goal. So there's some history to put right there, but I've thought all along that England's defence would be their undoing. I didn't realise that they could have ended up getting knocked out by DR Congo because of that dodgy defence. And, yeah, that's why England are not going to win the World Cup. And, you know, I'm always up for being positive. And I think previous times, I think Gareth Southgate's had a hard time, and I think he's got the best out of that team. This shows you how difficult it is to get a good team with that bunch of England players. We've got a brilliant player in Harry Kane. We've got one or two other great players. But that defence, not helped by injuries, is not good enough to win a World Cup. And I really hope, Kevin, I'm proved wrong.
Well, I do too, but I share your pessimism, I'm afraid. Frankly, so far, I mean, Croatia, OK, but a bit over the hill. But we have not played one of the top teams yet. Mexico are a really good outfit. So, in effect, on Sunday, 1 a.m. here in Britain, we are going to face our first serious opponents, proper opponents, if you like. And given that we've struggled so much against much lesser teams, that's worrying, isn't it?
It is. I mean, look, Mexico have got an incredible record. They've lost, I think, something like 2 of their last 89 games. So on the world stage, they're not, you know, over the last few years, they're not brilliant. Their win the other day against Ecuador was their first knockout win in the World Cup for 40 years. But they're a different beast at home, and that's the thing. At home, they're a very, very good team. So that's why you've got to not look at their world ranking, not look at their failure to get into other World Cups. You've got to look at them now, and and they've really, really responded to these incredible supporters at this fantastic cathedral of a football stadium. And we're all really looking forward to going there. And we spoke to Thomas Tuchel yesterday about his excitement of going there, and it's going to be really, really good and really, really difficult, because England have got to be on their game. I think if Harry Kane scores early, it'll be an easy England win. But I don't trust our defence. I just don't trust them.
The Spanish press, one of the papers there said, England, they said they're not going to win the World Cup because the only thing about England that they've got going for them is they've got the best centre forward in the world. And I think they're right about that. He took that match by the scruff of his neck yesterday, didn't he?
He's a brilliant player, and it's funny, when he was at Tottenham, I don't think he got enough credit, even when he was scoring for England. I think it's taken his move to Bayern, where he's been brilliant for the last 3 years. And I think it says something when one of the honorary president of Bayern Munich, a legendary player called Uli Hoeneß, says Harry Kane is the best signing Bayern Munich have ever made.
Yeah, do you know how many goals he scored? Do you know how many goals he scored this season? 72. 74. 74 goals in a season. That's phenomenal, isn't it?
That's incredible.
It's just it's ridiculous. Any big matches tonight? We've got Spain playing Austria, Portugal, Croatia, Switzerland, Algeria. I suppose, will Spain beat Austria? We've got to watch Spain, haven't we?
Look, you assume so, but they had a funny draw. I think this World Cup, with all the conditions, tells us. The fact is, Germany have been knocked out, Holland have been knocked out, England have gone within 15 minutes of getting knocked out. Normally, you'd look at these games and thinking, right, okay, is it worth watching that? I think any team could get knocked out.
Yeah, you're right.
Argentina won the last World Cup, and they lost to Saudi Arabia in the first.
In the first game, I remember that. Yeah,
there's funny things to teams.
It certainly does. Well, let's hope it does a funny thing to England on Sunday, and we play like the geniuses we all know we seriously are secretly. Charlie, enjoy that match. Great to talk to you. Come on again soon. That's Charlie Wyatt, chief football correspondent at the Sun newspaper, who will be at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico on Sunday night. Lucky guy. You could be in the pubs, though, because the pubs are going to be open all night, at least until 5 a.m. It's going to be a big night, isn't it? I think offices might be empty the next day. Not this one, though. We'll be at work. Right, let's go to break. And when we come back, we're going to go through some of the big stories of the day. So stay where you are.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, with me in the studio, very pleased to say, one of my favourite guests, he's barrister and commentator Stephen Barrett. So the next 25 minutes or so are going to be angry, I suspect. Well, let's get your take first on, I think, what the big story of the day is. There's a lot of big stories to talk about, but we need to get your take, Stephen, on this monster, Shabir Ahmad, the rape gang leader who has just, he's completed 14 years of a 22-year sentence for raping 30 children. He was a rape gang leader. He taught other people how to catch kids, how to drug them and how to rape them. So he's a really great guy. He's been released today. I don't know why he's being let out after just 14 years. 22 years wasn't nearly long enough, but 14 years for raping 30 children. What's going wrong in this country, folks? That's not serious. That is not a serious sentence. That is not a sentence that would happen in a serious country. However, he's out, and you now know this story, Stephen, obviously, that apparently we cannot, he's a Pakistani, we can't deport him because he got British citizenship before 1973, and at that point he was obviously a citizen of the Commonwealth because Pakistan was then in the British Commonwealth. So we have this weird antiquated law clause that for some reason anyone who got British citizenship because they were Commonwealth citizens before 1973 cannot be deported, even though we have stripped this guy of British citizenship. Now, the government, Keir Starmer, you just heard it announcing, in about 3 hours flat, they changed the licensing laws to allow England fans to go to the pub on Sunday night to watch that 1 a.m. match. So pubs can open until 5 a.m. They changed the law in about 3 hours. They don't seem to be making any effort to change this law that would allow us to get this monster off our streets and keep British children safe. It's absolutely absurd. Why aren't they doing anything about this?
Because they thought that you're all fools. I mean, for 6 years, I have been in the media trying to connect with the general public. A lot of the time with a certain percentage of my fellow lawyers slagging me off and trying to tell the public, oh, don't trust him, he's a bit weird. The simple fact is your legal system belongs to you. I like to call it our legal system because just because I'm a lawyer doesn't mean I'm not a citizen too. It belongs to all of us, and you can change anything you want. In our system, you can have it geared however you want. Now, this is a specific problem. When in 1970s we gave this amnesty to people, and we did it for good reasons and out of goodness and kindness of our heart. If you were a baby who'd come over from a Commonwealth country,
That's what you mean, yeah.
and you got citizenship here, and you might go on to grow up and commit a crime, well, you've got no connection to your homeland, so there you are. But at the same time, we probably couldn't have imagined, although sadly I understand they were going on, but we probably couldn't have imagined, certainly not any of us normal, decent people, that rape gangs would ever be a thing. And so what you do when presented with a serious challenge you hadn't considered is you simply change the law. Now, there are ways to change this law, and again, when it's a lawyer's job, the first thing any competent lawyer should tell the public is that, yes, we can change it to get whatever you want. Then you should give a range of options. So we could remove the protection for everybody. That seems a bit severe. You know, I'm not sure we should do that for everybody. I would pass a very simple one-line act saying that this gentleman does not benefit from the protections.
You could do that, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm looking at my switchboard for 2 days. The nation has been howling with rage. Get this monster out of our country. And the government's not even saying anything. We all know that if these MPs, if these Westminster bubble gang, if they want to change a law, as they've just done with pub licensing, they can do it double quick. Why are they not doing it with this guy?
Because it interrupts their long-term scheme.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit that our constitution can actually act at double speed and do almost anything in a day if it wants to. Because for 30, 40 years, possibly longer, they've been trying to pretend you can't.
Yeah.
They've been trying to pretend that actually government can't govern. You know, they've been trying to, because what they don't want to do is when they lose every political movement has to accept it's going to lose power. And what the left has not been able to get its head around for 30, 40, 50, probably longer years, is that when you lose power, things are going to happen that you don't like.
Yeah.
And so it goes against that. They don't really give a toss about this individual case.
They don't want the scourge of efficiency to enter their glacially paced world. Yeah, exactly right. They don't want the country to see that they can do things fast if they want to. And they want us to believe that everything takes 10 years. Because those people move at the pace of a snail. They really do. Well, look, there's another... well, this is right up your street. These kids, these traveller kids, these two teenagers who subjected their victims to the most appalling rape ordeals, filming them, raping them, completely ruining these poor girls' lives in Fordingbridge, Hampshire, during 2024 and 2025. Do you remember the judge, a guy called Nicholas Rowland, said, well, I don't want to unduly criminalise you, I don't want to spoil your lives, so I'm not going to send you to jail. They were guilty of the most appalling rapes. Their victims' lives are ruined. And this judge said, I don't want to unduly criminalise you, and therefore did not jail them, did not bang them up. At long last, the courts today have decided that was well, of course it was a ludicrous decision. Nicholas Rowland was accused by the Court of Appeal of not taking the case seriously. If we have judges that cannot take rape seriously, once again, this is proof that this country is becoming unserious. But these kids have now been banged up for 4 years each. Again, they'll be out in 2. Not exactly much of a sentence for serious rape, is it?
2 years playing PlayStation in a youth hostel with a guard. No, it's not serious. A serious country would have. Firstly, my heart and soul is with the victims and their families.
Poor girls.
Secondly, a sensible country, one day we will be one, Kev, I'm absolutely determined to see that before I die, we'd be giving life sentences to these boys, without question. Now, there'd be arguments about, oh, well, he's got to 45 and he really understands what he's done and he's fine, and we could have those arguments later at that time. In the instance, you give these boys life sentences and then you might consider mercy or later, depending on contrition. The idea that, what I'm going to do, Kevin, I've thought about doing this, and yours is the first show I'm doing it on. I'm dropping titles for judges because I'm very conscious of a movement in my profession to tell ordinary people and the press that you're not allowed to criticise judges. Now, that's completely wrong, and I utterly reject it.
I criticise them all the time.
You absolutely should. The practice and study of academic law is nothing but the criticism of judges. So you absolutely should criticise judges. But I'm going to drop the formality. So we're talking about Sue Carr, who is the Lady Chief Justice.
Baroness Sue Carr,
yes. Yeah, I'm dropping them all. Sue has got this wrong. Now, if Sue is constrained by the sentencing guidelines, because remember, they like to move power around so that they've got somebody else to blame for why they're doing it, then frankly, Sue, as a politician, and she is a politician under the 2005 Act and the Constitutional Reform Act, they turned her into a politician. Not just Sue, but all Lords Chief Justice and all Ladies Chief Justice are politicians. Then she should be using her influence to lobby the government to change the sentencing guidelines and change them retrospectively so that these boys get life sentences. We are not a serious country until rapists are seriously punished. People who rape children deserve to be seriously punished. And I will call Sue by her titles again when we are a serious country.
Well, here's what Sue said to these little monsters. Listen to this simpering claptrap. We have decided that because you were very young and find some things really very difficult to understand, and because you were only involved on one occasion, we do not need to change your sentence. That's that one that was just watching and I think filming. The others, we have decided that we do need to change your sentences, and both of you do need to go into detention. What you did was so bad we have no other choice. 4 years. It's pathetic. And by the way, what about this guy, Judge Nicholas Rowland, who Sue Carr did say did not take this case seriously enough? Do we really have judges who sit there in judgment of a case of young monsters, teenage monsters, subjecting poor little girls to 90 minutes ordeals, filming them, raping them, treating them like animals? Do we really have judges who can't find it in their hearts to treat that case seriously? Unbelievable.
Yes, we do. The system encourages that wherever there's a diversity characteristic, and these were identified as travellers.
Yeah.
And if Sue is appalled by the behaviour of her judge, because she's effectively a minister. I mean, that's what the new structure makes her. She's not called a minister, but that's effectively what she is. Well, then she has to sack him.
Yeah,
and I think we should call for the Lady Chief Justice. If she says this man did not take the rape of children seriously, well, then she should sack him.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's been criticised in the most sort of almost comical way. I mean, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, sort of thing. You know, you didn't take this case seriously enough. What's going to happen to him? Nothing, I would hazard a guess.
Nothing is going to happen to him unless
That's ridiculous.
Well, then let's call... I tell you what, given that she is a minister, she's effectively a minister under the law, she ought to do media rounds. Ask her office, ask the office of the Lady Chief Justice to come on talk, and get the rest of the media to chase her and demand what she's going to do about this guy. We need to know, because this unaccountable state where they just have all these jobs and they self-select and they self-promote and they don't ever face consequences is not going to last forever. You know, if by any chance Sue Carr ends up watching this, I'm not being rude. It is better if I am slightly rude to you now than the mob comes and burns the entire thing down. Do you not know where we are? The people are upset and they have just grievance.
Where's the accountability for this judge? It's an egregious crime for a judge to sit in judgment of serious rapes and not take the case seriously. Where is the accountability for Judge Nicholas Rowland? Why, as Stephen said, is he not getting fired or at the very least reprimanded and seriously punished? This is a joke. British justice is becoming a joke. And by the way, while I'm on the subject, what do you think about that? That these kids, oh yeah, we're gonna detain them now. 4 years. 4 years. They won't go to a proper jail either because they're too young. As Stephen said, they'll be playing PlayStation for the next 2 years. They won't do 4. They'll be out. This will be just a blip in their young lives. What do you think about that sentence? 0344 499 1000. Let's get you on this as well, Stephen. We're going to return to this story because I think it's very sinister and very indicative of our increasingly socialist government. They're going to get more socialist now under old Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham, number 10. I hope you're as excited as I am by number 10 North. Well, actually, Andy, funny enough, I don't think we are. Why would we be? Oh, my big innovation is I'll govern the country from Wigan. Magnificent. Anyhow, Lisa Nandy. Andy Burnham, by the way, won't take any questions from journalists, has not even spoke to a journalist since he was made our Prime Minister designate. Delivered that speech on Monday, his asinine, empty opening address, you know, bigger postcodes, more council houses, and number 10 Coronation Street, Wigan, will be the new Prime Minister's address. That's it. That's all it was. So he hasn't spoken to any journalists, has not put himself up for scrutiny by the media, which I think is a political imperative, but he hasn't done that. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has just quit X, saying that it is a site for abuse and misinformation. Not only has Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy quit, her entire Department of Culture, Media and Sport is now off X, because she says it's a place for abuse and misinformation. Well, I think there's a lot of things going on here. First of all, she's another socialist. Socialists do not like freedom of speech. What she means about this, she's saying a platform originally designed for free speech and expression now favours abuse and misinformation over meaningful debate. It isn't healthy for our democracy or our communities, and I don't want to support it. What she means is this platform, Twitter, X, is full of people with opinions she does not like. It's full of people who criticise her and her lousy government. That's why she's coming off, because she does not want criticism from the public or indeed the media. This is really sinister.
It's Ministry of Truth level stuff. Our Labour government, to an extent the Conservative government before them, that both of them are cosplaying a dictatorship despite not having any of the dictatorial structures. I mean, literally, because I understand how societies structure themselves, how constitutions work, how humans can govern themselves, you know, if you want a dictatorship, OK, but you have to have all sorts of things. A prissy little tweet on Twitter is not the same as the Stasi marching in and dragging everybody to an unnamed prison at 2 a.m. in the morning. Not that I'm advocating for that. But we're living through this dictatorship of petty little narcissists. How dare she just declare things? How dare she just declare that Twitter is now favours abuse? Right? That's an allegation. It's an unproven allegation. So are we still innocent until proven guilty? No, we're not, because she also declares it favours misinformation over meaningful debate. Yeah. If we're innocent until proven guilty, Lisa Nandy says not. And Lisa Nandy, I let this slide with the Attorney General, because let's be honest, one of the only good things of its brilliant hat-wearing Andy is that Lord Herman's...
That Crescent Hermer will get his marching orders, yeah.
Exactly, but it's both the second time now that Nandy's done it, and worse, because her department purports to regulate Twitter. So she's already declaring it guilty. How she can do? She can't stay. This is actually a resignation matter for Nandy.
Yeah, well, this is what she means. He said, I've decided to leave this, and so will my department, because X has become a site for misinformation and abuse. What she neglects to add, because this is the subtext, and worse than that, it's owned by Labour's sworn enemy, Elon Musk. That's what it's about. She makes a point of saying, I'll still be on Instagram, I'll still be on Facebook and LinkedIn, you know, not owned by Elon Musk. This is about Elon Musk, isn't it? But it's also generally about the socialist worldview, the socialist state of mind. They do not like criticism. They don't like freedom of speech. They don't like the public debating what they're doing in an open market square, town hall square, which is basically what Twitter is.
They're children. They're narcissistic children who cannot deal with criticism, and they are supposed to govern our country. What will happen if this department comes off Twitter is that no one will remember it exists. Because other than what they call stakeholders, which is to be interpreted as the people we give public money to, other than the people who get public money from this department, nobody really gives two hoots about this department in the country. The entire structure of government exists only to give money, as far as I can see, to complete wrong-uns, but also just to grifters. And unless you're a person who gets state money, you don't get anything out of this government. What do you get? Do we have freedom? Do we have security? Do we have a border? Do we have an army? Do we have effective policing?
Well,
do we have a health service that works? Do we have good education? Well, no, we have none of these things.
But you see, what you just reeled off there, that list of questions. No. I'm complimenting you. Those are the questions that I would have asked, all journalists would have asked Andy Burnham, had he provided the courtesy to the media of scrutiny. You know, I've just finished my opening address to the nation, my first big speech. What would you like to ask me? No. I'm not going to let any journalist ask me any questions, and I'm going to leave you with bigger postcodes, more council houses, and 10 Coronation Street, Wigan, replacing 10 Downing Street, London. I don't want any questions apart. You know, it's not good enough.
No, a postcode for every hope or something.
No, it's the worst political slogan ever. It's growth in every postcode, hope in every heart. That's so bad.
It is. I mean, I just don't. Anyway, but I should do this because I touch the world of journalists, but I'm not really of you. I took personal offence for Chris Mason because he dragged so many of you guys up. Proper journalists from London were dragged up to Manchester to be lectured, and in Chris Mason's...
That's what it is.
And in Chris Mason's particular, insulted, not allowed to ask any questions. Then Andy Burnham runs away back to London, which they all had to come back to.
Yeah,
this is a farce. This is Caligula levels of farce.
Yeah, and you know, this sort of geographical correctness. If he thinks we're really going to be excited about his asinine idea of ignoring the most famous city on the face of the earth and the most famous address in political history, 10 Downing Street, if he thinks ignoring that and going up to Wigan is an exciting and good move, then I'm even more worried about him than I already was. It's a disaster, It's empty, asinine claptrap, and he will not take questions from the media, and Lisa Nandy is shutting down Twitter for herself and her department. Freedom of speech is under attack from our socialist government, folks. 03444 99 1000. Massive thanks to Stephen Barrett, commentator and barrister. Always great to have him on the show. Going to go to break now. Change of tone when we come back. I'm going to speak to our royal guru, Kinsey Schofield. Big moves on the Harry front and his alleged possible upcoming visit to the UK. Is he going to come? Is Meghan going to come? Are the kids going to come? We just don't know. They're supposed to be here next week. We'll talk about that next. Thank you to Stephen. You lot stick around. See you in a minute.
Old news. On to the next. There we go. That was Andy Burnham. Just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to the west coast of America live to talk to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kev. Harry and Meghan keeping us pretty busy this week.
Well, they really are, aren't they? I mean, it's almost disturbing, this soap opera we're being subjected to with these two. Now, you know, to recap, we talked about this on Monday. Harry was all set to thrill the king by coming across to Britain for this countdown party for the Invictus Games, which will happen in Birmingham, our second city, in a year's time. He was going to bring Meghan and the kids, Archie and Lilibet, and of course the king would get to see his beloved grandchildren for the first time in 4 years. King are all very excited by that. Then suddenly, last Friday into Saturday, they start saying, Harry says, oh, well, I've just found out effectively said, I've just found out I'm not going to get armed police protection. That armed police protection I've been fighting in the courts to get for the last 2-3 years. In that case, I'm not going to bring the kids back, and I'm not bringing Meghan back. King, heartbroken, bewildered, distraught, and now we still don't quite know whether or not Harry will or will not bring his family. They're supposed to arrive, I think it's the 7th, so 1 week's time, 7th of July, and then they're going to stay for 4 or 5 days. And now we learn that as part of this ongoing, to be honest with you, Kinsey, deranged campaign that Harry has been waging to get automatic armed cops to protect him and his family whenever they come to Britain. He doesn't warrant that. He doesn't deserve that. Our security chiefs at a panel called RAVEC have said, well, he's not a frontline royal, therefore he doesn't get this. But he's obsessed with getting it, I think, because his brother gets it. So he tried this emotional blackmail on his dad. His father has told him, I do not decide on these matters. I can't help you there. So now Harry is apparently, this is what I wanted to get your take on, this is extraordinary. He's shelled out yet more money on a 40-page risk assessment by a security organisation that he's paid for. And he's now presented this to the government, and it says that the Duke of Sussex, when he comes to host the Invictus Games, could be a serious terrorist target, and that could create a mass casualty event. This is a private security firm saying that. In other words, if Harry comes, there'll be the possibility of a mass casualty event if he's the subject of a terrorist attack. Well, and he's given this to the government to say, well, there you go, you've got to give me armed guards. Well, I would say if that's true, don't come. Don't put other people at risk, just don't come. This is getting ridiculous, Kinsey.
Yeah, this is the same report, I believe, that he was putting together when he was threatening the NYPD, his team sending the NYPD emails saying, we're going to get Gavin Newsom involved, the governor of California. We need your assistance here. We need you to back us up, that there was a high-speed car chase throughout the streets of New York after Meghan Markle accepted another trophy, which the mayor at the time, Eric Adams, came out and said, well, that's ludicrous. And NYPD was like, this is not even remotely close to the truth. And so Harry's team was emailing the NYPD, trying to strong-arm them, saying, you know, don't make us get Governor Gavin Newsom involved of the state of California. And the NYPD was like, nice try. This isn't working. Yeah, I mean, Harry Styles is jogging across London to perform in front of 90,000 women without armed guards. Taylor Swift did receive armed guards because there was a legitimate threat.
Yeah, she's just been the subject of a genuine terrorist attack, so, you know, that's understandable. The fact is, Kinsey, you know this, RAVEC is the panel that sits in judgment on matters of royal security, who gets what. The truth is that the only 4 members of the royal family that get full police armed protection, gun guards, are the King, Queen Camilla, Prince William and Princess of Wales Catherine. Those are the 4. The others don't get that, and certainly they get protection. They don't go around with no protection.
Well, Harry's getting protection too. Harry is getting government taxpayer-funded protection this trip. If he shows up, he will get. Because
he'll stay
he will get some taxpayer-funded protection. It's just he wants people shadowing him with guns and rifles.
And we don't want to pay for that. We're British taxpayers, and we do not want to pay for the security and the protection of a man, a member of the public, who lives 6,000-7,000 miles away on the west coast of America and performs no royal duties whatsoever. We do not want to pay for that. The government, Ravek, has ratified that. It's clear he does not deserve or warrant this kind of protection. If he wants to pay for his own security, go right ahead. But the police are not going to provide it, and he just will. He's like a dog with a bone. He won't give up. This is now triggering genuine concerns for this man's sanity. I think he's losing it, Kinsey.
I mean, I have a feeling that we'll see them all there next week, and that this whole week we've spent on the will they won't they debate has been orchestrated by these 2 attention seekers as well. Like, what do they have going for them? I mean, I was just recording my podcast about the many tangible pieces of evidence we have to prove that Prince William is active and busy and creating really, exciting projects that are making the world a better place. And what's Prince Harry doing? He's making the charities nervous that he's been working with since January to organize some of these events, that he's not going to show up, or he's not going to show up with his wife. And they've spent the last 6 months preparing for him, whether that's slapping new paint on the walls or, preparing their staff for how to engage with a faux royal. Harry would have been, if Harry doesn't show up, or if Harry and Meghan don't show up, thanks to Senabale, we know Meghan adds a completely different layer of chaos to events.
I noticed, by the way, Kinsey, sorry to interrupt, but I noticed that amid this soap opera, which of course is creating headlines all over the world, that Her Majesty Meghan has taken the opportunity to plug her as ever tat products again. So, you get the idea that that probably is at the bottom of all of this. To be in the news, as far as Meghan's concerned, is to be in the money. So she's used this.
This is about Prince Harry wanting to be treated equal to his brother. This is about Prince Harry re-villainizing his father. Meghan, of course, wants to sell another loose fruit spread, but at the end of the day, this is about Prince Harry trying to remind us that he is the spare. The same with his book title. He's trying to say, look at how this family makes me feel small. Look at how they make me feel like I'm not as important as the other one, as the firstborn son. I want security, and I also think that he's sick with paranoia and that he should probably see somebody.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm worried about. I just think it's getting deranged. It's getting mad, to be honest with you. People are worried about this guy's sanity. He's so obsessed with this. Just get over it, Harry. You're not ever going to get this gun guard that you seem to think.
Well, and if you were that concerned for your safety, you'd have the courtesy of responding to the palace. They invited Harry to stay at a royal residence. Harry has yet to even respond to let them know whether or not he's staying. It's not a Holiday Inn. It's not a best.
It's Buckingham Palace is where he'll probably
They need to know exactly if and when you're coming so that they can prepare. It's utterly disrespectful.
All due respect to the Queen, the King, and his love for his grandkids, and of course he wants them to come. But I've got a message for Harry and Meghan. No one in Britain gives a rat's backside whether you come or not. You guys are over. And we are over for this fantastic conversation, Kinsey. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk again on Monday. The brilliant Kinsey Schofield there, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. We're going to go straight to break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Baroness Claire Fox and get her take on Lisa Nandy coming off ex-Twitter and also taking her entire department, the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, off that very important social media site. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. She is the Director of the Academy of Ideas, Baroness Claire Fox. Welcome, Claire.
Hi, Kevin.
Right, two things. I thought it was very sinister on Monday that Andy Burnham made his opening address, his sunshine address to the nation, which was pretty empty and asinine, to be honest with you, and certainly begged a lot of questions, but he didn't take any questions from the media. This guy, our Prime Minister designate, is busy avoiding press scrutiny for all he is worth. That, in my view, is worrying. Now, today, and this is what I want to get your take on, Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary, has just tweeted this. I've decided to leave, this is ex-Twitter, I've decided to leave this platform and my department will too. By the way, Lisa, a department doesn't need to take a capital D there. Just a little bit of help for you there. I've decided to leave this platform and my department will too. A platform originally designed for free speech and expression now favours abuse and misinformation over meaningful debate. It isn't healthy for our democracy or our communities, and I don't want to support it. I'll tell you what I think is not healthy for our democracy, Claire, is Cabinet Secretaries closing down free speech on, or their participation in free speech on what is effectively a social media sort of town hall square. This is sinister, is it not?
It's definitely tin-eared. It's hypocritical. I'd remind Lisa Nandy that she runs the department for DCMS, Culture, Media and Sport. And this is a huge media platform. The idea that she can just go, oh, it's not kind of media I like, is, as you suggest, something slightly sinister about it. But the hypocrisy is that she said, oh, well, X was set up for free speech and free expression. And then she goes on to say, but because this platform is full of misinformation and abuse, I'm storming off. But we know that misinformation and abuse are two words the government regularly use, weaponize in order to silence other people and to actually deprive them of free speech. And when she says that she wants meaningful debate, this is the Labour government we're talking about. I mean, when have we ever seen the Labour government opening up meaningful debate? And we all know that X can be a sewer. We also know it can be a place where you actually swap ideas. It's also a place where politicians and government departments can be held to account by ordinary punters, voters, who want to maybe criticise their decisions. So just removing yourself from that actually just forces the government into yet another echo chamber where they won't be answerable to the public square.
Yeah, and I think that what this is really about is, she says it when she says this site now favours abuse and misinformation. Well, that is her opinion. I mean, all social media sites are full of abuse and there is misinformation there. You must be sceptical about everything you see on social media. Doesn't mean to say they shouldn't exist. What I think she actually means is, she doesn't want anything to do with this site because it's full of people with opinions that she does not like. It's full of people who criticise her and her lousy government. She does not like that. That's what she's saying. This misinformation and abuse is code for I'm getting out of here because you lot say things that I don't like. That's not good enough for an important politician, I would suggest.
No, I mean, I agree with you, obviously. I mean, it also coincides not just with the Andy Burnham point that you started with no questions, but also with Keir Starmer as one of his parting gifts, the announcement that the government are going to demand that YouTube and Facebook and all the big platforms will algorithmically be forced to highlight trusted news sources, and then goes on to talk about public service, and of course it's the BBC. Yeah. And they're doing this apparently to clamp down on misinformation or disinformation. So what you get then is they say, we will act as a ministry of truth. We're going to force social media companies and big online platforms to highlight as the truth the channels that we tell you. Now, we know that apart from anything else, all of those public service broadcasters can be accused of being rather economical with the truth. But the point is that they're trying to manipulate the narrative the whole time. They're effectively saying, if we can't tell the story our way, we'll call it misinformation. That's what I mean about weaponizing it. I mean, how often when you're making an argument against, I mean, it's happened to me in the House of Lords, let alone on X, when you're making an argument against the government, you're accused of putting forward misinformation. It's a way of discrediting your argument, silencing you, trying to undermine what you're saying. And we've seen social media platforms in the past, and this is what's so ironic about her. It used to be a platform of free speech. I'm no uncritical friend of Elon Musk, let me point that out to you. But before Elon Musk owned X, actually as a platform, we know factually that they were put under pressure when it was Twitter to remove information about, for example, lockdowns or the origins of COVID, a whole range of issues under instruction from either the American government or the British government that did not suit the narrative, that went against their narrative. And actually, we then found out that these things were true. So the origins of the Wuhan lab leak, which they said was a misinformation, Russian disinformation, actually was true, but they removed it. In other words, it wasn't that it used to be a platform of where we had free speech. It was a platform that the government could manipulate and censor things from.
And when they say, Claire, you've got to YouTube, you've got to prioritise trusted broadcasters, trusted outlooks. Well, that's what they mean is the outlets and the broadcasters that we like. They are, of course, the Labour government referring to the BBC. Trusted. The BBC trusted. Well, let me tell you, Claire, I wouldn't trust the BBC as far as I could throw them. So, it's horse. They are. Exactly. They're sort of saying that their taste in opinions and broadcasters is the law. That's outrageous.
it is outrageous, but it's also the case that only recently the BBC has had to own up to the fact that some of their editors spliced together a speech by Donald Trump to imply that he was calling for an angry insurrection, when in fact he wasn't, because they cut out a bit of the tape. And they consciously did that. And then they had to admit, by the way, that, what was it? That, in fact, their Arabic BBC was using Hamas sources for fact, and they criticised themselves. This is the BBC admitting it. And they also said that there was a squad of activists working in their gender department who were actually putting forward the greatest piece of misinformation and disinformation. The men and women, you know, exactly. They changed it. That is a lie.
I'll tell you what, Claire, to quote the great Jim Royal from the Royal Family, BBC trusted outlet, my arse. I probably shouldn't have said that. Really good to talk to you, Claire. Thank you very much. Great stuff. Baroness Claire Fox there, voicing, I think, a lot of people's concern. What is going on there? The government, they're cracking down on freedom of speech, cracking down on Twitter. YouTube have got to prioritise the BBC. Well, we don't want YouTube to do that. We don't trust the BBC. You might, government, but we don't. I really haven't taken enough phone calls, but you can understand it has been an incredibly busy day. But we've got about 10 minutes left, so we will take calls for the rest of the show. Peter Cardwell will be in a little while to let you know what he's got lined up for you from 7 until 10 p.m. I'll try and read some messages too. So stay where you are. I'll be back in a moment.
Just drove through there on his way to the palaces of Westminster to be sworn in as an MP and, of course, on his route to number 10.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
There was two things on that manifesto. One was a picture of Keir Starmer and the word change. Well, promise made and promise delivered in that sense. Because if he'd got...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A couple of messages, texts and things that WhatsApp messages you sent me through. This is from Mark. Am I hearing correctly? He's talking about Vikram Digwa, the Sikh killer of Henry Novak, who's refusing to go to A-Wing, where Ian Huntley was killed in Franklin Prison. Am I hearing correctly? That piece of crap is refusing to go to A-Wing. Has he been asked if he would like to go there? In prison, you should be told which wing, and that is it. Tough crap. Well, Mark, they basically say you want to stay in the segregation unit, which is a real hellhole. Be our guest. He'll go to A-Wing in the end, but at the moment he's having a hard time. Poor guy. Couldn't happen to a nicer bloke, eh? Here's Steve. How can a prisoner refuse to go to a certain prison? That's not what it is. It's a part of a prison. You go where you are sent. You committed a crime and that. Yeah, well, Steve, you got the wrong end of the stick there. He hasn't. He can't refuse where he's going, but he's refusing to go to A-Wing at Franklin Prison, where Ian Huntley was killed. He said, I'm not going there because someone was murdered there. I guess they could force him there, but they're just saying, you want to stay in the segregation unit? Be our guest. He's got no telly, no books, nothing. He'll end up in A-Wing. Don't worry about that. This is from Reg. Oh, so you can sit in a pub and drink till 5 o'clock in the morning, but whilst you're there, don't you dare pull out your England flag and start waving it. They'll come and arrest you. Exactly right. This is from Gary. Hi, Kev. I just moved to France and I had to just sign a form pledging that I would respect the French system. I was so fed up with the UK, I had to get out. My biggest joy was not pay the BBC TV licence anymore. Yeah, a lot of people aren't leaving the country to not pay their TV licence. They just don't do it anymore. This is from Claire Sutton Coldfield. Why, if someone breaks our law, are they then protected by our laws? They broke them, therefore they don't respect them, therefore they don't apply. Simple. Right, let's go to the phones. I'm sorry I haven't read enough messages. But it's been a very busy day and I haven't taken enough calls either, but let's take a couple. Here's Stephen in Bury. Hi, Stephen.
Evening.
What would you like to say?
Yeah.
Lisa Nandy. Lisa Nandy, yeah?
Yeah, it's about Lisa Nandy going off X. I've been struggling to find a downside to that, because aren't they the biggest ones who give a lot of misinformation, misleading headlines, and actually spread a lot of hate? I thought they were the main perpetrators of it.
Who said that? Who said that? Who told you that?
Me just now, because I follow her, and I see a lot of the stuff that she puts out.
Oh, you mean she posts a lot of hate? Is that what you're saying? That's interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were criticising the actual site itself.
No,
I didn't realise. I must admit, I'm not a great follower of Lisa Nandy or her department. So you're telling me that's interesting.
We've been in Bury. Obviously, I follow Lisa Nandy on X.
Sure.
And we always
found that but I don't.
There was a lot of misinformation being put out, and a lot of it is dog whistle politics from her. Let's use that one.
Yeah. Do you know what her departing post on X was, Stephen? It was a little bit of brown-nosing. She retweeted Andy Burnham, which was code for, can I keep my job as culture secretary, please? It's pathetic, isn't it?
Well, it's in a barrel of bad apples. You're always going to pull out a bad apple, aren't you? Yeah. And they haven't got much to pick from. Yeah. But that's why they have to go out.
I mean, the point about this, though, is it's actually quite sinister. The Department of Culture, Media and Sport should not be coming off a major public social media site. That is just wrong. It's sinister. And when she says it's full of misinformation and abuse, that's her opinion. That's not a fact. All media sites are full of abuse and misinformation. Got to be sceptical. That's no reason to come off them. It's ridiculous. This is a socialist who doesn't like freedom of speech, doesn't like the public being able to criticise her, and cannot stand to look at opinions with which she does not agree. It's pathetic. Stephen, great call. Thank you very much. Stephen in Bury. Let's talk to James in Devon. Hi, James.
Hiya, how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm all right. You want to talk about Lisa Nandy as well? It's pretty sinister, this, don't you think?
Yeah, look, I'd be straight to the point, Kevin, because you're almost finished, right? The problem with Lisa Nandy and her department is they don't like being community noted, which is basically the misinformation she and they put out is then recorrected with actual facts.
Yes, yes. You mean the public go, yeah, well, actually, culture department, Lisa, you're wrong here. Yeah, she doesn't like criticism from the public. She doesn't like the public not agreeing with her. She doesn't like people who have opinions and worldviews that she doesn't like. And that is very worrying from any politician, but particularly a culture secretary.
Yeah, and her stupidity then, when she's on X and she gets community noted, is amplified. That's what she doesn't like. That's what her department doesn't like, because it's amplified how stupid they are.
It certainly is. And just generally, I just think this plays into the fact that, Andy Burnham won't take questions from the media. These people don't like the media, they don't like scrutiny by the media, and they don't like the public criticising them, and they cannot face opinions that they don't like. It's just pathetic. It's just pathetic, James. James, I've got to move on, mate. The show's nearly over. Really good call. Thank you very much. James in Devon now. I'm really sorry. Should have got to more calls, but you understand. It was just been one of those days. This busy day will be continued by Peter Cardwell, who's going to take you through to 7 p.m. with the Evening Exchange. He's in the studio now. What do you got lined up, Pete?
Hi, Kev. I was really interested in what your viewers and listeners were saying on the Secretary of State for Digital Media Culture, who's withdrawing from Twitter. Very strange.
Because she doesn't like the opinions on it, and she doesn't like being criticised.
Apparently so. We'll talk about Nigel Farage's property portfolio. We'll talk about the grooming gang ringleader at the centre of a deportation row who's been released. We'll talk about whether Peter Mandelson is a Russian spy as well. The Manchester airport officer whose nose was broken, she's spoken out as well. We'll be reflecting on that too. There's an awful lot on forced adoptions as well. Sarah Poochin, the Reform UK MP, was pretty emotional actually in Parliament today because her mother gave up a child before Sarah Poochin was born, and she later reconnected with her half-sister. So there's a lot on